Hey YouTube, I hope you guys are all doing well. It's Adrian Hunter from over here at PipeDreamHookah. And today I'm going to have a brand new tobacco review for all you guys. And it's not just going to be a new tobacco to this channel, but it's going to be a new tobacco to the market. This flavor is going to be Trifecta Dark Leaf Raspberry. Look at that. Now before we get into all of our favorite things like the flavor, the scent, and the cloud output of this tobacco, among other things, I'm going to have to kind of change the camera angle a little bit, and we'll go ahead and pack a bowl so I can show you the cut on this, my packing method, and a few other little tiny specs that go into Trifecta as a brand. So let's do that right now, and then we'll come back and check out some of the clouds. Okay you guys, so let's just jump right into it. Starting with the tobacco itself, obviously. Trifecta has been around for a few years now. They started out with their blonde line, which became pretty popular after a short time, and then a little while after, not sure exactly when, but it's been in the last couple of years, we see the Trifecta Dark Leaf hit the market. Now the container that they actually package this into is going to be pretty interesting, as you can see. It is a plastic container, pretty minimal looking, nothing really going on in the container itself other than the one sticker kind of telling you exactly what you're going to be getting. And then it comes with this screw off top, which obviously is going to keep your shisha nice and fresh for a good long time. Now let's go ahead and get into the cut of the tobacco. As you can see here, it is going to be fairly juicy, not soaking by any means, just fairly juicy and fairly fine cut. Definitely not Tangier's fine. I'll go ahead and put some of it on the lid here so you can see. It's definitely not going to be Tangier's fine or anything like that, but it's going to be pretty fine and fairly consistent, as you can see right here. So that's shit to look forward to as far as that goes. And without any further delay, let's go ahead and get into the packing method itself. Today we're going to go ahead and use 5-Star Hookah's Goodfella V3 bowl review on the V4 coming out soon. I've got it on the way in the mail as we speak. And we're going to do what's called a semi-dense pack into this bowl, and we're going to put it at just a very slight underpack, so there's actually no contact between the foil and the shisha tobacco itself. So to begin this, it's very simple. The first thing I want to do is lay down some paper towel because I would prefer not to make a mess out of this table, and my cutting board is dirty. So we're just going to do some paper towel. Mix your shisha tobacco up until all the juices are nice and freely flowing, so you've got an even consistency and the juices are nice and spread out throughout all of your tobacco. And then just go ahead and take your bowl in whatever hand it's comfortable in. And I like to use an oyster fork, but you can use whatever you want. You can use your fingers, you can use, I don't know, a small shovel, whatever you want, as long as you can get the tobacco at the correct consistency to go from your package to the bowl. And then I like to take about that much tobacco at a time, right there. I'm just gonna load it into the bowl like that. And I'll actually zoom you guys in just a little bit so you can better see what's going on. So here we've got that, and then we'll just continue it all the way around the bowl, trying to avoid getting any tobacco into the spire itself. We're not really trying to discolor our water or anything here. And maybe a little bit more. There we go. And just kind of use your fork to make sure it's as even as possible until you get something that looks kind of like this. Maybe a little bit over the rim, but that's not a problem because the next step, pretty simple. We're just going to go ahead and take the butt of our oyster fork to kind of even out the tobacco. So it looks pretty simple. All you want to do is this. Very gently rearrange your tobacco so it won't be touching the foil when we actually go to smoke it. And if you're not a fork user, you can just use your fingers. That's no big deal. You're just going to get a little messy, but that is obviously not going to be a huge deal as long as you don't mind washing your hands before you start smoking. And that is what our final product should pretty much look like. Now, before we foil it, we want to make sure to do a little quick clean of the bowl so the foil doesn't have any play to it when you foil it onto the rim. If you leave it wet like this, the foil might slide around. It'll make it really difficult to get it drum tight. So what I like to do is just take a paper towel and carefully, without messing the tobacco up too much, run it around the rim. And if you're feeling ambitious, kind of clear the spire off a little bit too. There's really no pluses to clearing the spire off except for maybe you'll get less juice in the base. Really comes down to preference, not a huge deal. But there we go, there's our pack. Let's close this up, get rid of some of these extra materials, maybe zoom the camera out a little bit. All right, no, that's probably pretty good for foiling. So here we have our bowl, and now we want to foil it. So this is going to be pretty typical. I think most of you know the drill by now. One layer of heavy duty foil, shiny side facing downwards. It actually doesn't matter, that's just what everyone does. People tend to think that it keeps heat into your bowl a little better, although it's kind of hard for the shiny side of this to reflect any actual light because it's pitch black under here, and I'm not sure whether the foil actually reflects any of the heat or not. I am not a scientist. I will not claim to be. I will just say that everyone says shiny side down, so I too go shiny side down. Because it's never done me wrong, so why not? Just kind of press it down evenly from all sides. And then apply even pressure around the bowl like so. There we go. I like to go around just to make sure the foil is tight up against the walls of the bowl as well. And then you'll get something that looks kind of like this. It's not perfect, but it will absolutely work. Next thing, we're just gonna poke a hole pattern. Hole patterns don't matter so much. What you're really looking for with a hole pattern is airflow. So I'm just gonna do a 3-ring hole pattern around the outside, moving our way in. And I'll try to keep the rows of hole spaced so that there's a row pretty much right next to the spire, and there's a row pretty much right next to the rim, and then one in between, like so. Here we go. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but this will absolutely smoke. And then that's just gonna about do it for the bowl packing portion. Let's go ahead and take a look at the setup we'll be utilizing today. In addition to the Goodfella bowl, we'll be using the Thunder Mid Stylus as our hose, we'll be using the Art Aviator Hookah as our hookah at half mast, and we'll be using 3 Golden Desert Charcoal, the cube version. Alright everyone, now that formalities are out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into this tobacco, starting with the scent of the tobacco. So we're going to open this up, take a whiff, and we'll go over what we get. It's actually a really strong scent. Definitely very pungent in a good way. What you get when you open this up isn't necessarily what I expected to get, as I've smoked a few raspberry flavors before in the past, and they all came across as quite weak and maybe a little bit candied and artificial. Now, while this does come across as a little bit candied and artificial, it does not come across as weak. And it does come across as candied, like I just said a second ago, but it's not going to be in the Jolly Rancher way that I think a lot of people are used to. What this is really coming across as to me is, I don't know if any of you have those Sanders sampler packs that you maybe get for your Valentine or something, or your date, or whatever you're getting it for. And they've got those little chocolates with the with that little raspberry filling, that really dark red filling in there. That's exactly what this smells like to me. Very sweet. You definitely can tell that it is a raspberry flavor, but since raspberries in real life tend to be a little lacking in the scent department, I can definitely tell they needed to kick it up a little bit to get it to come across on the nose. So as far as the scent goes, raspberry chocolate filling for those Sanders sampler packs. That's exactly what I'm getting. Now next up, I'm gonna go ahead and blow some clouds for you guys. Unfortunately, I left my Golden Desert cubes on too long. They got a little bit on the small side, so I had to go ahead and utilize a wind cover, which is unfortunate. I know it's gonna skew the results a little bit, but for the most part, you're gonna get the same clouds from Trifecta either way, as long as you pack it correctly. So let's go ahead and see what those clouds look like. Apparently I've underestimated these Golden Desert coals a little bit, even though they have seen some shrinkage in size. This bowl is pretty well heated, so I'm gonna rip this off and pull some more clouds, because that was a wee bit on the hot side. Let's take this off. Okay, as you guys can see, this tobacco is actually gonna rip gigantic clouds. Not kind of big, not bigger than average. These clouds are going to be pretty gigantic, and that's actually going to be one of the reasons that Trifecta has the name that it has, Trifecta. It actually means 3 things. They claim that Trifecta is buzz, flavor, and clouds, and I'll get into the flavor and the buzz in just a minute, although I will give you a little spoiler. I have a pretty good buzz going. It's 9 p.m. now where I am, and I haven't eaten since noon, so it's been 9 hours, and I am a pretty big guy. So it's definitely getting to me a little bit, but these clouds are absolutely enormous, as you guys can see, and all across the line, except for that one bad batch I think they released to Ventura Beach, which, by the way, they were very quick to correct, and the customer service was awesome. So I'm just gonna go ahead and plug Moose for that right now. He does an awesome job with customer service. But like I was saying, the clouds are gonna be enormous no matter what flavor of Trifecta Dark Leaf that you're actually packing. So moving on to the next thing, which is probably going to be the most important thing when we're critically analyzing any shisha tobacco, that's going to be the flavor. Now, as usual, I'm sure you guys are used to this if you've seen my previous tobacco reviews. I like to do the inhale and the exhale. I find that the flavor profiles on the inhale and exhale differ just a little bit, sometimes more than others. It really depends on the tobacco. So we're going to get into it starting with the inhale. Okay, so on the inhale, and this is going to be the case for most of your Trifecta Dark Leaf flavors, the scent of the tobacco is going to translate into the flavor very, very accurately. What you're going to get is exactly what you picked up in the smell, which is going to be this really rich raspberry flavor, but it comes across as a little bit candied, not in a Jolly Rancher way, but more in a creamy kind of a chocolate filling way, like I was saying, in those Sanders sampler packs you can pick up for your Valentine or whatever. So that's going to be very accurate, as I just stated, but let's see what the exhale comes across as. Okay, so for the flavor profile on the exhale, it's actually going to taste quite a bit like the flavor profile on the inhale, but there are going to be a few minor changes. You're going to see a slight dip in the flavor strength, and it's going to go from being relatively sweet to a little more tart. I wouldn't actually describe this flavor as being a tart flavor on the exhale, just in reference to the inhale. The exhale is a little less sweet, a little bit more tart, but it definitely holds all of those flavors that you get on the inhale very well. You get this really nice sweetness, you get that candied raspberry flavor, and you're actually not going to get any tobacco notes from this at all. I've noticed that with a lot of the dark leafs like Tangiers or maybe Black Lava, KFC by Alchemist, a lot of those tend to bring some of those tobacco notes into the mix. For most of these Trifecta Dark Leaf flavors, that's not going to be the case, and the raspberry is going to be no exception. So on both the inhale and exhale, you're definitely going to get that sweet raspberry flavor, and on the exhale itself, you're going to get a little bit less sweetness, maybe a little bit more tart. Now, as far as heat on this goes, how does this stuff take heat? Well, Trifecta is going to take heat very well across both the blonde line and the dark line, and it's going to take heat for a good long time. There's a lot of longevity in this tobacco. So in this Goodfellow bowl, even though I'm using cubes right now, I can very, very easily expect to get another round of cubes out of this. So I'm going to be able to get this bowl to smoke for a solid 2 hours, 15 minutes, or whatever. Now you could also just smoke this for one round if you like to switch your bowls out after every round of coals, but I will say that you might waste just a little bit of tobacco when you do it this way. So if you're a one-round smoker, I would go with something even smaller than the Goodfellow bowl, like maybe a Bambino bowl, which I just dropped a review on 2 days ago. If you guys haven't checked that out, go ahead and give that a look because that is an outstanding bowl, and it's actually a very good bowl for this brand. Now there's a couple more things that I want to get into before I actually wrap this video up, and the first one is going to be buzz. Now I just stated a few minutes ago that I actually ripped an insane amount of buzz out of this when I was doing the cloud content cut portion of this video. This is not going to be typical for me, at least. I normally don't get much more than a very light buzz from this brand. Now take that with a grain of salt, as I am a Tangiers and KFC smoker, and those brands typically give you a pretty good buzz. Same with Ugly Hookah tobacco, that's going to give you a decent buzz as well. This stuff normally doesn't give me a huge buzz, but if you don't eat for 9 hours and you haven't drinking anything, you're probably going to get a decent buzz for that, so definitely be prepared for that. If you're looking for it, I guess you could hold off on eating, but that's not very healthy, so I would definitely not recommend doing that. If you're looking for a buzz, go grab something like maybe some Tangiers. And last but not least, let's talk about mixing, because this flavor is going to be an outstanding mixer. The flavor carries its own very well when mixed with a mint or another fruit flavor, or really even any flavor you want to mix it with. One of my favorite mixes to use the raspberry in is actually going to be Morning Glory, and I know that sounds really weird, but like I was saying, it comes across as that filling in the Sanders chocolate sample packs. So what the Morning Glory is going to get is it kind of has some, I wouldn't call them chocolate notes, but they're definitely akin to that kind of a mocha sweet cream coffee flavor. So that just kind of adds to that whole really nice raspberry filled chocolate kind of a flavor profile. So maybe a 30% this, 70% Morning Glory mix, and this is going to hold its own in there very, very well. And like I was saying with mint, maybe you can go pick yourself up some Twice the Ice or some Twice the Ice X or maybe some FML. And if you mix a little bit of that into here, it's going to come across very, very nicely. It's just going to retain this beautiful flavor profile while adding a little bit of a menthol cooling kick. Now before I wrap this video up, I'd like to go ahead and rate this tobacco on a 10 scale for you guys. So taking into account the clouds, the flavor, the scent, and all the other factors that went into this tobacco that I just went over with you guys, I'm going to have to go ahead and give this tobacco a solid rating of 9 out of 10. Now my reasoning for that is that even though I'm actually not a very huge fan of the raspberry flavor profiles, this comes across exactly like I think a raspberry should. It's a nice strong flavor, it's a solid mixer, and it has some of the best cloud output that you're gonna see off any tobacco on the market today. So it's definitely gonna get, like I said, a solid 9 out of 10. Now, maybe you want to pick this stuff up. I just gave it a pretty solid review. You're thinking to yourself, damn, I want to try this stuff out for myself. Where can I get it? My recommendation would be to go over to 5-Star Hookah. I'm going to leave a link down in the description for you and purchase it from those guys because Alex and Mary over at 5-Star Hookah have always given me outstanding customer service, and I've heard nothing but good things from the hookah community in general. Now this stuff is going to retail at $19.99 per 250 gram container, and maybe you don't want to quite pay $19.99. Maybe you'd like to get, say, 15% off. Not only this, but everything on your entire 5-Star Hookah order, excluding anything already on sale. If you want to do that, you can use my promo code. That's going to be PIPED15, PIPED15, and like I said, that's 15% off anything not already on sale. Okay, you guys, so that's just gonna about wrap this video up. If you feel this video gave you any type of value whatsoever, I would highly suggest considering subscribing because I'm going to be bringing you guys a lot more content just like this in the future. I do my regular uploads on Wednesdays and Fridays, and then I have this Alfaka series where I'm just reviewing all of the Alfaka flavors. That's going to be every other Monday. So this week I dropped the review on the gum with mint. So there's going to be no Alfaka review next week, but the week after that I'm doing the illustrious, the legendary Alfaka Double Apple. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned, and like I said, subscribe so you can be notified when that gets dropped. If you guys like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. That helps me out. And if you guys have any comments, questions, or criticisms, go ahead and leave those down in the comments box below. I would be more than happy to engage with you guys and just talk shop about hookah with all you. And hey, maybe if you had a request for a flavor or just hookah product in general you'd like to see reviewed, go ahead and request those down in the comments as well. I would be more than happy to bring you guys reviews on any products you'd like to know a little bit more about before committing to a purchase. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, happy smoking.